I work hard on that part.
Welcome. This is the July the 11th meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingsport. And what do we say? It's a great day to be a Kiwanian. Thank you.
Corporal Brandon Arnold's here to speak with us today. Brandon is works in the professional standards unit there at the police department, which includes training, accreditation, and other things. He's a family man. His wife Kayla and him live in the area, and they have 4 children that range in ages from 4 to 19. So not only is he busy with work, because work isn't always 8 to 5 or midnight to whatever. You got to go to court, you got to go to training, you got to go to meetings and that kind of thing. And especially courtrooms and things like that, the world revolves around the sun and the courts, and you got to go. You can't say no. So anyway, Brandon obviously has a lot to do with it. He's a veteran of the United States Army, having served in the intelligence analyst position there in the Army for 11 years. Say it again. Whoop. All right. He attended at Sullivan Central High School, has spent some time at ETSU, and I think continues to work on his degree. His hobbies are kids, dogs, and dealing with computers. He's been with the police department 10 years. He's worked in patrol, as most entry-level people do, where I worked in the criminal investigations division, and now as a training corporal. There's a lot of time spent in training, lots and lots of hours compared to 1974 or even before, when back in the 50s and 60s, it was 2 or 3 days with a senior officer. And he'll tell you probably about what it takes now between police academy and field training now just to get a guy out where he can solo. That said, let's give a warm Kiwanis welcome to Corporal Brandon Arnold.
Thank you, Chief Addington. Appreciate the introduction there. We'll get right into this. I believe the Kingsport Book Club asked me to do this because I gave them a little bit of a briefing, but I've prettied it up so I could put it on the TV for you guys today. I think there's like a full screen button. Well, you'll have to bear with us here because it worked differently. Okay, here we go. Like you said, I've already been introduced. My name's Corporal Brandon Arnold. Go ahead. We'll just get right into this, okay? This is basically just crime prevention and some practical safety tips. And what we're going to go over today is, I put it into 3 kind of categories. First, we're going to start with physical security, security of your home and your motor vehicles. And then the next thing that we'll talk about digital security, because that's a big thing nowadays. And it doesn't matter what our age is, we're all connected to the internet because we ain't got a choice anymore. So we're going to talk a little bit about avoiding some scams, some password tips for you, and other things. And then we're going to end it with some active shooter training. And just as a caveat, I'm not a certified instructor on active shooter stuff, but what I've done is I've pulled all the information from the sources that we typically use, and hopefully my videos will play. So, all right. Getting right into that, like I said, we'll start with physical security. And this is what Wikipedia says about it, and that's one heck of a definition. But let's simplify it, because you know what physical security is already. Physical security is going to be what you can see and touch, right? So the trick and the number one thing, if I could tell anyone, for the love of Pete, is lock your doors. Even if you live in a nice neighborhood, because in the PD, this is what we get a lot is, I thought I locked it. So that's rule number 1 for physical security. Criminals are typically lazy, okay? They're not out there working like you and me. They're working to take what you've already worked for. That's laziness, okay? We work hard for what we have. And crime, from what I can tell most of the time, it seems to flow in the path of least resistance, almost like water. It's very strange. So your locks and your doors, your physical security, that's your first line. That's your first deterrent to theft. And without using those, you make yourself a prime target, a target of opportunity for these people. So some good concepts here. Now, I know everybody knows these. Deadbolts, getting quality locks, key control, making sure that they function properly. But you'd be surprised at how many houses I've been to that have been broken into. Maybe they had locks, but they didn't have deadbolts. That one extra measure that could have bought them time. I have 2 teenagers. They have keys to my house. And every time they leave the door unlocked, I go crazy because I brief this stuff. And I teach them as much as I can, but if any of us have had teenagers, we know that we go over things, and sometimes it's like beating your head against a brick wall. But talk to your kids about this. This is important because it will stick with them, hopefully. And if you can get them to lock the doors, you'll be good to go. So that's something in there. So the next thing, other than just locks, is proper use of lighting. Lighting can make the difference really for your house. It can create a harder target for your home, for your car even. That's not my house. It's really nice though, and it's very well lit. It would be very hard to sneak up on this house. So a well-lit house, like I said, it's harder to sneak up on. A dim or unlit house, that's a prime target. And your neighbors or you are more likely to observe activity. Phil might actually see someone trying to break into my house. Hi, Phil. That's my neighbor. Which of these houses do you think you could sneak up on? Pretty good side-by-side comparison. Believe it or not, that's a house right there. It's the dark part. All right, so someone asked me about dogs. I was going to include dogs. This is my dog. Pets are really great security, but not really cats. Sorry. If you're a cat lover out there, your cat's probably not going to alert you when a criminal gets in there. It might. There might be a couple of really special cats, but that's my dog. And so she actually has proven her value quite a bit. The trick with dogs, especially mine at least, from my experience, is you need to pay attention to their barks. Freya, that's her, she has various barks. She'll bark when she's happy. She'll bark when she's slightly concerned, and she'll bark when she knows she's about to have to kill somebody. And when she barks that bark, that's when it's time for me to spring into action. It's only happened once, but I knew something was wrong. And sure enough, there was a problem right in my front yard. That dog is invaluable. And she's a Aussie Collie Pit Bull, I think. Yes. So she's all-American dog. So the next thing with physical security really is, where are you keeping the things that are important to you? And I don't just mean money. I mean things that have sentimental value. I've worked thefts before where somebody has lost an old cell phone and it was invaluable to them because of pictures on it. They'll never get it back. Whoever stole it didn't even think about that. They didn't care. But sure enough, they got a hold of an old phone. But of course, money, jewelry, everything else, where are you putting it? The simple things. Invest in a good safe. The second one is something that people don't think of a lot, but is extremely important. Serial numbers and knowing what they are. You don't want to be thinking about it after the fact. You're not going to know. And there's so many things in your home that have serial numbers. This TV has a serial number. Your computer, it might have serial numbers to the parts. Unfortunately, computers are made of all sorts of serial numbers. These are things that you should write down and keep somewhere safe. Okay? Because when the time comes, if someone's stolen your things, we can enter them into a database if we have the serial number. Without it, we cannot. If your gun is stolen, if you have the serial number, you can go into the database. It'll show as a stolen firearm if we ever run across it anywhere in the United States, right? Same thing for a laptop, for a TV, anything else. So a nice list of serial numbers, very helpful, okay? If you aren't comfortable keeping certain things at home, safety deposit box, put them away, This is really important. This is the don't, because this is what we see a lot that happens, and this will kind of segue into our next portion about motor vehicles. Please don't store any of these things in your car, starting with the most important one is firearms. A firearm in your car, if you are not in your car, is useless to you and is everything to a thief. Okay? But going along with that, jewelry, purses, credit cards, your money, the list from the last slide, I wouldn't leave that in there. Anything that can identify you, any of your personal identity documents, because once they take that, then we can start to get into the identity theft portion that we'll get to on the digital security. So speaking of motor vehicles, what not to store in your car, here's a few tips for your car. Some of it's going to sound extremely repetitive, but it's important. Lock your car. just like you would lock your house, you always want your car locked. Leave the windows up, park in a well-lit location, lighting, yet again. Park close to entrances, to camera systems, kind of know where you're going. When I first moved to Kingsport, my Walmart was a Fort Henry Walmart. And, luckily working police work, I know where the best surveillance camera was, at least at the time, for that Walmart. It was row 6. Park as close to the front, row 6 as possible. A lot of people like to park in the back of a parking lot. Video cameras for a business are focused on the entrance to the business because they care about their business. They care about their customers too, but when it comes to theft, they're more concerned with who's coming into and out of Walmart. The closer you can get to the entrance, yes, it's going to be more crowded, I know. Someone might hit your car, I understand that, but it'll at least be recorded maybe. If you're in the nosebleed section of the Walmart parking lot, you're a tiny little blur on that video camera. Oh, that last one. If you got to keep stuff in your car, hide it. If you don't have a choice, you're on vacation. I had to bring my purse. I don't want to carry it with me. I had to bring whatever, put it out of sight. A lot of times you'll see, I think we had this issue at YMCA. The YMCA over there, where the aquatic center is perfectly positioned right off the interstate. So people traveling through who wish us ill intent come right off the interstate. They look for a vehicle that has something in it. They're just looking. And then they break the window, they take it, and they go. Get the interstate, let's go to the next spot. Very quick. So an unlocked car is a target of opportunity for thieves. The same car that's unlocked with the keys in it is a bonus. And then you got the car that has the keys in it and a gun. Wow. What a present. Let's see if this will work. Here we go. This is footage of a auto burglary. So you just get a little bit of a snip, but all he did was, is this car door unlocked? It's locked. Next. He's lazy. He's moving on. Try the next one. This one's even better. We got the guy in the red. I figured out who he was. This was from my time in investigations, but watch him. Kind of tug on the door, look inside. Should we smash a window? I don't know. No. And they move on. So I think the things that are helpful here is we've got a video camera on the property. It's well lit, which, by the way, helped in the investigation. Because what these guys are doing is they're going through a neighborhood. They're just walking. They're casing. And thankfully, with this, I was able to solve just a ton of them. That was a whole cluster of auto burglaries. And we found the guy in the red. We found him, identified him, and now we've got a video of him in the same clothes trying to get into cars. It's a pretty good case.
Why would he wear red?
That's just what he's got. Yeah. So, like I said, street lights, surveillance cameras whenever possible. Walmart's cameras have gotten a lot better over the years. They can reach a lot farther. It's a much better system than it used to be. So digital security. And before we get into this one, I'll just tell you, I am a nerd, okay? And I try to stay on top of stuff with everything new that's coming out, but I am still getting older. I'm 41 now, which I know you're all like, oh, you're still a baby. Okay. But I am noticing already that there are things that are happening where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what that is, how that works, what to do with that. But I'll try my best to explain some of this to you. So when it comes to avoiding scams and is the remote? Okay, so back where we were, avoiding scams. It's okay not to answer the phone. I do it with mine all the time, even if it's a local number. If you don't know it, let them leave a message. Scammers aren't going to leave you a message for the most part. Don't provide any information to someone on the phone who's called you. Okay? I don't care if you get a call from somebody and they say, I'm so-and-so with your bank. No. You call them, fine. Provide the information because you've called a number that you've called before and you're going to talk to an employee most likely. So confirm who you're speaking with whenever possible and always be aware of suspicious texts, emails, and now phone apps. Be careful what you put on your phone. Okay? Next, please. Okay, I hope we can hear this. This is...
And our church supports the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department in so many ways. And
Okay, so I did all that, so, look, I'm just trying to make sure you don't end up having what you did for something you haven't done, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's take this step by step, sir, I promise you, you're gonna be okay,
And
100%.
you know and I know that there's phone scams every time you turn around.
For any personal information that we don't already have, that way you're solidifying that you're in contact with law enforcement.
All right.
Okay, 10-4. So like I said, you get yourself together, just no time when you're heading to the vehicle. Once you're to the vehicle, I'll get that governor reading, and then we'll have you next to the financial institution to retrieve those funds in cash, and then I'll get you to a in-person bonding terminal, okay?
So if you could hear that, what we have is we have a person that's impersonating a law enforcement officer.
You expect me to go to the bank?
So that one ticks me off in particularly for a lot of reasons. But he doesn't sound foreign at all, does he? He doesn't have an accent, anything more than what you or I would have. And, you know, given the circumstances of what he's telling you, which is an intense situation, and as rapidly as he's talking, he's going to get somebody eventually. Somebody's going to go, oh no, what have I done? They've confused me for someone else, and I need to pay this before I get into some sort of trouble. Here's some key indicators. First of all, we are never going to call you and ask for money over the phone. Second of all, and this is really important too, if somebody's asking you for money over the phone and they want you to get gift cards, ooh, that is a big red flag, okay? Because we can't track those, and once you give them a number on the back of a gift card, you're never going to see that again. So here's a few password creation tips, and these get funny, so I'm going to go through them a little bit quick. But you want a long password, and I know that's really annoying, okay? But when it comes to cracking a password, the more alphanumeric characters that are in it, to include spaces, the harder it is to brute force assault. It can take, gosh, I don't know, once you have like a couple words, it takes a long time.
You're talking
Months. Months. And criminals are lazy, okay? And they're not, you know, unless they're like the Chinese government trying to get you, I think they've got other things to worry about, then they're probably not going to get that. Make the password appear to be random, okay? It needs to be something you can remember, but, you know, a passphrase is good. And a passphrase would be something like a few words together that you could remember. See, spot, run, spot, run. Something that would make sense to you, but anyone else would be like, I don't know what that means, you know? Different passwords for different accounts, and I am horribly guilty about that because I'll come up with one really good password and I'll need it for everything else. And then two-factor authentication is really powerful right now too. And by the way, in a decade from now, all this will be garbage and we'll have to do something else. They'll have broken two-factor authentication and everything else, and we'll have to submit, you know, blood samples. So I know this looks strange, but I don't know if you guys have ever done the thing where you substitute symbols for letters when you make a password. Okay. So here's some examples of how you can do that. Just kind of stare at your keyboard, look at the symbols, and decide how maybe you could figure some of these out. Like for the B, I made a little line and a 3. It kind of looks like a B, a little bit. And it's 2 symbols. So that's 2 more characters that they'd have to crack. Go to the next one. It's not perfectly easy to read, but that's my name, and then that's my name, and the only letters that I used was R and a H. Perfectly easy to read, but you kind of get the idea, right? We've substituted a bunch of letters for a bunch of gobbledygook. And don't use your name. You don't want to use your name and password. So crime is going to evolve, kind of like what I was just saying. You know, 10 years from now, this is all going to change. And one of the things that we've seen over the past little bit here is card skimmers. Have you all heard of these card skimmers? I know I'm going to do this kind of fast, but card skimmers is where they put another device on top of the thing where you make your payment, and it will take the information from your card. All right, so those are pretty dangerous. It's good to inspect the thing that you're putting your card into, because a lot of times they look just like a card reader. They're just a little bit bigger and they fit over top. Okay. And I'll show you a neat way to kind of defeat these that I've noticed. So see this one, you notice the card is recessed a lot more on this one, right, than this one. That's because there's something over top of it. Basically, they've placed another housing over it, and when you put that card in there, it intercepts the card's number, and they can clone it. So here's a way to get by with that or past that. And I know a lot of people got freaked out about this when they started to come up with the technology, and it's progressed pretty good there. A lot of these cards you see where they're just beep, beep. And everybody's like, oh gosh, they're going to intercept it. It's going to be horrible. Well, I got a little bit of a background in signals, and so I can give you a little bit of signal theory, but that would take forever. So instead, we're going to simplify it. There's two forms of these short wave signals that have come out. One is RFID, radio frequency identification, 3 to 5 meters, one way, quick multiple versions of it, and it's for simple identification. For example, this gets me in the building where I work. And a lot of places use these, hospitals, you just beep and you go in. That's RFID. Okay, so it's got a pretty good range. It's for quick access. If someone right behind me, they beeped in too, beep, 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 we all beep in. The other thing is near field communications. And that is in your phone and typically in the newer credit debit cards, that kind of stuff. And so the range is a lot shorter, which is good for interception purposes. It's a two-way, so they're talking to each other and confirming things. And it's slower. You can only do one at a time. It's complex for various data types. Next. And I'll make this as simple as I can, but this is how I like to pay now. I like to use my phone. Here's why. So Samsung or Apple, you got Samsung Pay and Apple Pay, right? You put your card on there. They verify the card with your banking institution. And then when you send your card's information, they don't actually send any of the information. They send a token. It's a scrambled number that has nothing to do with your card other than to say, we have their card. You don't need their card. We have their card already. We're going to send you this token. And the banks, it shoves everything else out. So if you can get savvy with this technology, this will defeat anyone who intercepts the number. So if, for example, they had a card skimmer and you went beep and you paid, then they're going to get a number that is not associated with your card. Does that make sense? That's the easiest way to kind of put it in layman's terms. But it's like me giving you my card number right now, and you write it down somewhere. And then the next time that I have to make a payment, I say, remember, I gave you that card, right? And you're like, I remembered. So, right. So we're going to end with some active shooter stuff. And like I said, I'm not an ALICE certified instructor. I'm just going to give you some basics. Active shooter situations are becoming more of a hot topic. And so they've come up with this acronym, and that's what ALICE is. Okay, it's for alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. And I would caveat any sort of active shooter training by saying this. These situations are all going to be unique. If someone was to rush in here right now and try to kill us, all right, that would be different than if you were in a movie theater or if you were in a parking lot or et cetera, at a concert, right, with thousands and thousands of people. But this is supposed to kind of give you step-by-step what you can kind of do to increase your odds of survival. And the first one is alert. The idea is that you're alert. You're aware of your surroundings, right? I know where the entrances are. I know where the exits are. I know who's supposed to be in here generally, you know. And like I said, that's situational. If I'm at a big concert, you know, just being aware, head on a swivel. This one's a long one, but this is lockdown. This is, let's say we've been alert and we see someone and they've broken in here and we can't get to an exit, but we can get to a closet or behind something or away from them. The idea is to get away and to create a barrier of safety, whatever that may be. That could be anything. It could be, like I said, a utility closet. And to stay there, to give yourself time to come up with a plan. Because you also don't want to be trapped somewhere where there is someone who's shooting. Inform would be, while you're doing that, if someone with you or you can hurry up and call 911 and kind of give them the information, hey, it's a guy, he's wearing a black shirt and cowboy boots and a pink hat, you know, trying to relay that information to the first responders who are going to be trying to get there as quick as possible. The C is for counter. This is a last resort. This is, I have no other alternative. This is fight or die at that point, right? If you can't get to the next step, which would be preferable, then this is where you throw things at the person with the gun. Everybody rushes him. You come up with some sort of plan, try to control him, control the gun, you control the shooter. That's what they tell us. And this is all, of course, assuming that you're unarmed, I guess you could say, right? Because if someone comes in here right now, I'm probably going to drop the microphone and then try to drop them. We'll do it together. That's right. And then, of course, if that was the case and you're unarmed and you're somewhere and there's nothing else, this is what you want. You want to be able to evacuate. You want to be able to get out. And so it kind of circles back into that alertness fact. I know I can exit there. I can exit there. This is, the states were really good usually about marking them with little exit signs up there. So we're going to see if this will play. Oh, wait, no, that's right. It's at the end. So Alice training, that's the first one. And then the other thing, this is what the FBI was pushing, which is just simplified. It's called run, hide, fight. Okay. And we'll play a little bit of a video here and then we'll be good to go. I hope we can hear it. Let me see. I'm not going to mess it up, I promise.
Hi, can I get you started with drinks?
Oh, sorry, I gotta take this.
We'll need a minute.
Back up! You can't get here and get out of my face! I'm afraid of you! Understood?
It improves your chances of survival. Don't go up here. Police, where is he? By the bar, blue jeans, black shirt. Empty hands up, follow their instructions. I'm in a direct line of fire if I head for either exit, but I have other options to help me survive. Guys, come on, in here. Go. Lock and barricade the door.
With my exits are blocked by the shooter. I gotta stay hidden. I'm no victim. I'm ready for this.
He's applying direct pressure to the wound to stop the bleeding until we can find a tourniquet. In the meantime, turn off your phones and make a plan to defend yourself.
We have to fight to survive. I control the weapon. I control the shooter. I'll go for the gun. I'll go for his arms. The bartender will go for the head. We got him right here!
Please, show your hands!
Over here!
You can survive a mass shooting if you're prepared. Remember, run, hide, or fight. Run. Wherever you go, be aware of alternate exits. Quickly and cautiously evacuate in a direction away from the attacker. Don't hesitate. Seconds matter. Remember windows and emergency exits. Leave belongings behind. Keep your empty hands raised and clearly visible when exiting a building. Follow all instructions from the police. Don't stop until you're sure you've reached a safe location. Hide. If there is no safe escape route, find a good hiding place. Lock and barricade the door. Silence cell phones. Prepare a defense plan. Fight. Fight only as a last resort. Use available objects as improvised weapons. Use teamwork and surprise. A coordinated ambush can incapacitate an attacker. You're fighting for your life. Don't fight fair. Stop the bleed. A victim can die of uncontrolled blood loss in 5 minutes or less. Apply pressure or a tourniquet to control severe bleeding. Go to fbi.gov/survive to learn more.
That's it. I think the only other thing was questions, and like she said, I'll be here for questions after if anyone wants to speak with me. Thank you for your time. Or